Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower, is a top candidate to win his third Defensive Player of the Year award, but this season he has showcased his effect on the game on both ends of the court. While it's easy to point out that he's not a polished offensive player in terms of his skill set, we have to look a bit deeper at film to see his effect on the offensive end. Despite his weaknesses in terms of scoring, the Utah Jazz are a top offense in the league with him on the court, and we should obviously give credit to the talented offensive players on the Jazz, but Gobert helps bring the best out of these players in terms of spacing and rim gravity, as well as giving them extra opportunities with his offensive rebounding. While Gobert is certainly capable of racking up stats in rebounds and blocks, his biggest value comes outside of the box score. And in this episode of Drawing the Defense, we're going to cover 3 plays on each end of the court that show Rudy Gobert's value even though he didn't get a single stat from any of them. We'll look at each play in real time, then back it up and analyze it. So let's get started. Alright, so here we have Jordan Clarkson running a pick and roll with Rudy Gobert, and since Gobert knows that the Hornets are going to hedge this action with Zeller playing aggressively, Gobert slips the screen and rolls toward the basket. This forces McDaniels to tag Gobert to make sure he doesn't get a dunk, and so Clarkson passes to a wide open Mike Conley for 3. Gobert didn't get an assist here, but his rim gravity clearly created this open look. On this one, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert run a pick and roll with 3 offensive players on the weak side, and with all these players on the weak side, it makes it much more difficult to send help on the roll man. So the Celtics decide to switch this action, which is a size mismatch for Kemba Walker. The important thing to watch here is how Jason Tatum is so eager to leave a lethal 3-point shooter because he knows that Kemba Walker can't handle this mismatch against Rudy Gobert. So, with Tatum coming from the weak side to help, Donovan Mitchell is able to drive and hit Bojan Bogdanovic for a wide open corner 3. Alright, this time we're going to look at a defensive play where Tristan Thompson tries to run a handoff with Jaylen Brown. But Joe Ingles is top blocking or denying the handoff, which leaves an open backdoor cut. In order to deny a layup, Gobert rotates to Jaylen Brown to cut off the drive. So Brown passes back to Thompson, but Gobert is able to rotate back to Thompson to contest the floater. This is a perfect example of how Gobert can effectively defend 2 players simultaneously, which he does a lot of. Here's another defensive play, and we have a guard-guard pick and roll with the Jazz switching the action. But the way they switch is with both defenders on top of their men, so if Theo Maledon can get this pass over those defenders, it could be a layup opportunity. But Gobert is clearly ready to rotate to the roll man, so Maledon throws the ball to the weak side, and the Thunder reset into a pick and pop with Lou Dort and Al Horford. Gobert cuts off the drive from Dort, and Dort takes him deep into the paint before kicking it out to the pop man Horford. So Gobert is being asked to do a lot here, as he had to protect the basket, and now he has to recover to the perimeter. On top of all of that, Horford decides to pump fake and drive rather than to shoot, so Gobert once again has to reverse course, and he looks pretty awkward here, but it's really effective defense as Horford misses the difficult running layup attempt. This time it's another Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert pick and roll, but unlike that example against Boston, the Jazz have a player in the strong side corner, so this one is a bit different. So the Blazers decide to hedge this action aggressively, and since Gobert knows that is coming, once again he slips the screen like he did in the example against the Hornets. Now look at how deep Gobert slips past the first line of defense, so there's a ton of pressure on the back line of defenders for Portland. Here we have a pretty common defensive alignment, with CJ McCollum leaving Bojan Bogdanovic in the corner, so Damian Lillard is tasked with defending both the corner and the wing. It doesn't really matter which player is in which spot, the Jazz just want to generate a corner three out of this situation. So rather than Gobert passing directly to the corner, he passes to Conley at the wing instead, which forces Lillard to rotate to the wing and leave the corner completely alone. From there, it's a simple touch pass for Conley, and Bojan Bogdanovic once again has a wide open corner three. All of this action was generated because Donovan Mitchell commanded aggressive coverage at the point of the pick, Gobert slipped the screen which collapsed the defense, and then Gobert made the correct read to force the corner to be open. And Gobert gets no statistical credit for this, even though it was the right play to make. For the last play, this one is a bit different because it's a fast break, but we have Gobert hustle back at the same speed as DeMar DeRozan, which makes him think twice about going for the layup, and he decides to kick it back out to Vassell. Vassell takes one dribble to get around Ingles, and it's important to note not only Rudy Gobert's stature and reputation as being intimidating, but also his body language. He really sells that he's going to go for the block if Vassell attempts anything here, because his arms go behind him as he loads up the energy to go for the block. But Gobert also doesn't make the mistake of getting in the air on the pump fake, which forces Vassell to once again kick it back to Murray. And Murray doesn't even try anything here and decides to reset the offense. Gobert nods as this was the correct decision, and that's what I call intimidation. Well, thanks for checking this one out. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe for future videos.